Hello, guys, and welcome to the Ask Aviator live stream and podcast. We are coming to you from an unusual location.
This is just straight up weird.
So we always talk about
Hang on. I gotta mute this. Mute this.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
We always talk about how we're building a family. Like, this is the Aviator family. And so we feel so strongly about this, we decided to invite you all into our home.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Ask Aviator podcast, episode number 41. I feel like we should start naming these kind of like Friends did. So this is like the episode, the one with the quarantine, you know? Like,
The one, it's not technically a quarantine.
not yet.
but
Not yet. So we can actually put this right here front and center and look at it because it's not
Facto.
in video. It's not in range. The camera's just right.
Nailed it.
All right, so this is the first time we've ever done a podcast without someone behind the camera
Yep.
kind of telling us what we're doing right and wrong. So Catherine, Dan, John, we miss you guys.
Do.
How's it sound? Do we sound good?
What a good start.
It's important. It's important.
Nobody's saying I can't hear you, so that's a good
That
start.
is true. So you guys are probably going to be privy to our children in this episode, to our dog in this episode, Amelia. Very likely.
Probably.
Because, yeah, we're home. So we're home for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, we are.
I actually kind of feel bad because I called Kate and was asking her some advice and thoughts on different things, and she's like, "So we had a plan that Chris and I were going to do the live stream tonight," and I was like, "Oh crap, I didn't know. We just didn't communicate well."
Oh.
So sorry, Kristen. Sorry, Kate. Love you guys. I'm going to try to figure out how to make this. I don't know how to make this work. I give up. Okay. Now, at least now. Ooh, sorry. That was really loud, I'm sure. So we have 40 people watching live right now.
Yay.
It's going to go up to about 100 to 200, maybe 400. I mean, it's social distancing now, right?
Yeah, this is how we live now, right?
This is how we live now. So let me walk you guys through our thought process. So this weekend we spent with about 700 of our closest friends at a
Give or take.
fly-in. Yeah, it was like 267 pilots, registered pilots, which is a lot. And as we're there, the news starts breaking more and more about the advance of this coronavirus and everything else that's happening. And Nell and I are looking at each other going, we're surrounded by all these people. And like, we're washing our hands like crazy. And we're trying to keep the kids off of people, which is impossible.
Just about, yeah.
Particularly with Eloise. Eloise is a lover. She likes to hang out with people. So we decided when we got home that we would not subject ourselves massively to other humans in case we are carriers of said coronavirus.
Yes.
So I have been back and forth to the shop a couple of times. I finally met the students yesterday. You've been flying, but we're all kind of avoiding each other. Like, we're all just kind of avoiding people. We've got,
Hi.
yeah. So we have a plan in place where we had to cancel our next two classes, which is a huge blow to us, to our employees, to them, of course, to our pocketbooks and our ability to run the business. So we're praying that everything works out all right. And then this class that's in session, so we have two classes in session, one in Dunellen and one here in Lake Wales. So it's 14 students. And we're like, guys, like, we laid it out for them. We are going to have to literally quarantine ourselves. There's now a sticker on the door of the Red Shop that says this shop is in quarantine. Do not enter. They're not allowed to go to restaurants or like hang out with anybody but this small group because, if we're going to commit to the next week and a half of training, they have to be able to stay healthy and keep each other healthy. So there's going to be a lot of good food, I hope, cooked over there, and that we're not going to be able to partake in until we know whether or not we have symptoms. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of canceling the show as we would in the past, we decided to bring it home.
Yep.
So
here we are.
Here we are. We've got a lot of people in the chat right now. I want to say hello. Ripman Riding, Brian Chestini is one of the guys who is supposed to be in Dunellen. Oh,
Bless
sorry.
his heart.
Allie's here. Good to see you, darling. Ripman Riding, Craig Taylor, JP Tulo, Jim CR120. Of course, we've got Harley in here as well. Phobio, great to see you. Paul Smith, thank you guys. Daniel Jones, great to see you here from the UK. We got a good group of people.
Yeah.
good group of people. So we're going to talk about a few different things tonight. Nothing too serious, but answer questions. William's here. Hey,
Hi,
William.
William.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about is the idea of social distancing. I put a link up on our Facebook page today. If you guys haven't read it, please do. It's talking about why we don't want you to come and visit the red shops right now. But it's just great math, and like I love good math. I don't like doing it, but I like reading it and understanding it. Like that part's
someone
totally
else's
fine.
work.
Exactly. So it was a big wake up call. I wish I'd seen it 4 days earlier, but it was a good reason to say, okay, listen, we're going to put a hard stop. We're not just going to be cautious and try to be safe. We're going to be really safe and take the hard way out. And we ordered our groceries through delivery for the first time today.
It's a whole new world, you guys.
Dude, it really is. Like it's like Amazon except better.
Yeah, it was like 29 minutes from the time I place the order to the time she pulled in the driveway.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and with 3 kids, I don't know how many people in the chat have kids, but 3 kids in a grocery store, somehow they're always hungry. So it's like you going shopping hungry, except they...
And 3 of you.
Yeah, and you have no concept of money. So they're like...
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So... that kind of opened our eyes. It gave us the kick in the butt we needed to be even more cautious. We were already, being aware, trying not to be around our parents or anyone that's elderly, trying to have a little extra food in case there is a mandatory quarantine. We're not hoarding, I promise. We still have not purchased toilet paper since any of this pandemonium started. We actually have a bidet at the shop that we need to go get because it's not installed. So we can be
If we start running low on TP.
Well, we do have 3 children who, again, don't understand the value of money.
Or toilet paper.
So we actually were talking about this at the shop today. Back in the day, and this is before you were into modern music. So we both grew up homeschooled. For those of you guys who didn't know this, we both grew up homeschooled, and we both were very, very, very...
it's very conservative upbringing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we never really got to listen to the cool kids' music. Well, I did in high school, but you didn't. So the big thing on MTV was rappers burning $100 bills, right? Like that was the cool thing to do. If you had money or you wanted to prove that you had money, you just simply burn your cash. So we decided that the ultimate like flex right now, like if you wanted to be like, dude, I'm such a baller. I have like a $100,000 wristwatch. I've got a Ferrari and 5 homes. Instead of having to do any of those things, just go TP someone's house.
I mean, it sends a message.
It sends a message, right? Like you are the ultimate. Not only do you have
disposable income.
Right, you have disposable income. You've got like access that no one else has. Flushable income. Oh my god. Guys, she'll be here all week.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, literally, I will be here
all
week.
So I'm actually still on the search. I need a Netflix password. We don't have one. Probably shouldn't put that up publicly. I'm just kidding, Netflix. We'll spend more money with you. We had this realization. I was telling the guys about it today that we were paying for Netflix for 4 other people that were using Netflix about 1,000 times more than we were. Yeah. And then when we wanted to get on, there were 2 TVs watching, so we couldn't even use it when we wanted to. Yeah. So we finally canceled Netflix.
We were using other things like Amazon Prime and Plex, Hulu and other stuff. So.
But I don't watch much TV as it is. But this week,
there are a couple things on Netflix that I want to catch up on.
Well, we're going to have to get Netflix this week. It's going to have to happen. It's going to have to happen. Andrew Finnegan says, do all the students take turns in the FBO? Yes, they do. Bob Garber, could you guys find TP? No, we could not find TP.
We have enough because I order it in bulk and have it delivered like 2 or 3 times a year. So we have plenty right now.
I mean, knock on wood. For those looters looking for toilet paper, we don't have enough, but we do have firearms. This is the South, y'all. Yeah. So welcome to everybody's here. I've got people are Instagramming. We probably should have posted this on Instagram or something.
I mean, I made a post that it was happening at 8.
That's true.
But
that's true. So what do you guys think of the new time? Is this time work for you guys? We haven't done it because at the office, if we have employees that are staying late, I feel guilty. And then I feel even more guilty because I'm at home with you, spending the evening with the kids, helping out, especially getting our kids to bed. Like tonight was a real rip-roaring roller coaster of fun. So far, heck yeah, time is good. Yes, time is good. Are we gonna do a picture?
We're doing
We're doing a
picture,
live.
We're doing a live. Oh wow, I forgot. Oh, we don't want a picture. Sorry, guys.
All right, guys, we are live.
We are live.
All right. So yeah, we're always in that balance point where we're trying to figure out if we want to do it at a time that works for the whole nation, or one that works for our family or for our staff. So Daniel says late. It's late for him. Yeah, well, you're in the UK, Daniel. You need to move here. Once the coronavirus shenanigans is over, get over here, my friend. Get over here. We got a lot of people here that I want to just say thank you to that were at the fly-in this weekend. Ernie DeVletter, I absolutely loved the time we spent together. There's a lot of you guys that were just huge blessings. You know, we got to spend time with Tom Kubat. We got to spend time with Johnson, with so many. I mean, Travis and Kyle were next door. We just had a really nice time, and we got to do. I mean, I guess it started at Wings Over Winter 1. We started cooking dinner for people.
Yes.
That one was like 60 or 80 people, and then the next one was like 170 people, and the next one was like 300 people.
Well, yeah. I think we started catering it at that point.
Yeah, I think the last one we did was Wings Over Winter 2 or 3, and it was a lot of food.
It was a lot of food. And bless your mom for helping us.
Yes. Oh, thank you. And my brother James, we have him in the video, which every time I see it, I'm like, oh my God, he was a baby, and that was so recent.
Know.
Yeah. So what happened to yesterday? Jim Sierra 120, you tell me what happened to yesterday. We always do the podcast on Tuesdays. I saw him I saw him ask that question earlier.
What happened to yesterday?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a Monday. It
the
felt
movie
like a Monday.
yesterday was amazing.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the movie yesterday, if it's on Netflix or wherever else, find it, watch it.
As you are social.
Yeah, distancing.
I want to say disconnecting, which is not what we want to do.
Yeah.
Distancing.
Correct.
Find yesterday. Watch it. It's so good.
So here's the option for you guys, and this is going to disrupt my family life, but I'm open to it. I would host this podcast every night this next 2 weeks. I don't actually want to do that. But like more than once a week. If you guys want to get together and you want to talk about paramotor stuff, if you want to, have an experience, we can certainly do that. So don't hesitate. Let us know, because I can leave this all up, except for the flags, because those will break your piano.
If the children don't break them first.
That's an accurate point.
And unintentionally. They're not destructive. They're just active.
Children. Yeah, they're children.
Yeah.
Vertical says, don't make those promises right now. Surprises. Jim asks, when you have the show crew, do they provide a queue of questions? They generally will keep track. So if we're in a standard interview type situation where I'm looking across the table and I can't stare at the questions the whole time, the team kind of will copy and paste to a text document some of the more important questions that we want to make sure are answered.
Yeah.
So I'll encourage you guys, if you want to be our internal document and you see a question that we missed that's a very good question, we will answer it. Yeah. So there was a couple questions earlier in here from Jim asking where John Isley ended up. He's working at EAA. So it's great to see him succeeding and thriving. We hope that he's doing well. Derek and Leanne have both thanked you now.
Yes, I saw Leanne earlier. Oh my gosh, Leanne, I was so excited for you. Oh my gosh, the look on your face. It was amazing. Leanne is part of our current class at Lake Wales. And
we have two girls in class.
I know, it's so exciting. And she finally got to tow tonight. And I was there for her first tow, and it was awesome. You did so good. So amazing. Can't wait to see you do more.
So Leanne, for those of you guys who don't know, is Derek Trout's wife. Derek won the first Tucker Got giveaway.
Yes.
For those of you guys who love Tucker and you love Aviator and you'd like to see us give away another class seat, I've offered it to Tucker. So if you guys want to see Tucker offer this and actually take us up on it, we haven't had an opportunity for a conversation, so don't blow him up. By the way, you guys see how fancy we are? We're drinking box wine right now. This is left over from the fly-in. We are so fancy. So if you guys just want to send Tucker a message on Instagram, leave a comment on one of his latest posts, be like, hey, we want another giveaway. Eric's down. We'll make it happen. So we have...
Is Kate in the chat? I missed her.
I haven't seen Kate. Is she here?
Everybody's saying hello, but I didn't...
Kate's here. Hey,
Hi,
Kate.
Hi, we love you.
You missed the beginning where I apologize for totally messing up all your plans. I feel bad.
To be fair, we didn't know there were plans.
Well, she probably mentioned it to me, but it was probably at Palm Bay when 700 other things were happening. Yeah, so I'm at the point right now where we're trying to manage this coronavirus crisis. We're trying to manage our family. And we're trying to get this daggum Kit Fox built so that we could leave for the summer, if there even is a summer. I've heard that, if this goes worst, is like the worst possible way, then we might actually have like really low traffic, which that sounds terrible. That's really dark. That's really
I'm not
dark.
even going to respond. That was just...
Charlie Walsh says Aviator should do their own giveaway. Actually, we've talked about it. And in fact, we might. We've come out with some new merch. I really should have brought the cool box over here. Let me see if I can make this box stretch. Hang on. You talk about
Stretch
our
the
merch.
box.
Show your shirt.
Our merch. Oh, hey. We have shirts.
Ta-da.
They're beautiful. This is actually one of my favorites. It's got mountains and stuff. But we have lots of other stuff. He's making a stretchy box or something. I don't know what's happening.
Look at that. There's shirts.
Shirts? What?
It's on the screen. You can't see it.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't see shirts. What's happening?
All right, hang on.
Oh, they already canceled summer? Okay, but does that mean like summertime activities or summertime weather? Because as a Florida native, I could potentially get on board with canceling summer weather.
Oh my gosh, I would be so happy. So like that's one of our big plans, our big plots. After 8 years in this business of working every summer, and man, for the first 7, it was brutal. I mean, you're up at 5:30, you're at the field, and you get home at 10 or 11 o'clock at night because it gets dark so late. And you do that over and over and over again. JP Tulo says, those are some handsome fellows wearing your shirt. Yes, thank you. I am quite adept at Photoshop. Not really, but those are actually all me.
I really want to see the photo now.
I don't think I have the photo on here. Let's see. Oh, I do. Watch. Hang on. I gotta switch it back. I'm gonna actually turn the stream on.
So excited.
I gotta turn the volume off and go live. Let's go. Oh man, this is difficult, guys. Difficult. So there you go. There's the beautiful men.
Look at that.
They
look so casual.
They do.
They're enjoying life.
I just like the fact that somehow his arms are just swinging to the side exactly the right way.
He's enjoying his life. Isn't that what you look like when you enjoy your life? You just kind of...
Hang on, I gotta get this back to the regular main screen so people can see your it's back to the main screen. People saw it.
Kate, Publix had no eggs.
Yeah, Kate.
Aldi had its eggs, or the Aldi near us had eggs earlier today. Maybe I got the last dozen. Sorry.
So actually, let's talk a little bit more about this. So we're going to talk about all this stuff. You let your hair down, girl. Let your hair down. We're going to talk about quarantine stuff. We're going to talk about paramotoring stuff. We're going to. I'd like to hear from all of you guys for kind of what the reaction has been like in your area, because up until about 2 days ago. Now, we have no confirmed cases in our county.
That's not true.
Oh, they're confirmed cases now?
They just confirmed the first case.
Where?
I am not sure. I didn't read the whole article.
We have a confirmed case in our area now.
Yep.
But up until a couple days ago, it's been completely life as normal. And today I'm driving past our local sports bar, Beef O'Brady's, and the parking lot's packed. They posted a picture this morning. So this is my bar, guys. This is the bar that I go to for a drink on the way home, a night or two a week. Like it's the place where I'm a regular, right?
Yeah.
And they are packed. And they posted a picture this morning of the girls. They got like 14 girls working the tables today. I'm like, man. But big things have shifted. Today, the Florida's governor announced that you have to close 50% of your capacity at all restaurants. All bars are closed for 30 days. Like, it's pretty big. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Yeah. No groups of 10 or more, which our student groups we're making sure that we don't have groups of 10 or more. So it's a lot, guys. It's a whole lot for us. We're already homeschooling our kids. So the biggest, what's the name of that app that we just downloaded? I don't remember. Anyway, we downloaded an app, and it's been fantastic. Khan Academy, yeah.
Khan Academy.
So the kids have been using that, which has been a really nice little pressure off of us because it's all learning experiences based upon their grade level. So that's been good. But tell us about your stuff. So James Dunn says he's homeschooling Zach until the end of the year with schools closed, remote learning. Just meant finding out what channel Nickelodeon was on. Any suggestions? Yeah.
That's amazing.
James, Khan Academy's great. Also, there is a special running. Let's see. It's called Curiosity Stream. If you go to curiositystream.com, slash brew, BREW. I'm subscribed to this newsletter called The Morning Brew. It's like a business update thing. And they are offering it for $12 a year, an access to all their documentaries. So it's kind of a cool thing. We haven't done that yet, but it's been interesting. So we're working on it. Linda Anderson, if your video is buffering, you probably don't have fast enough internet for it. This is being pumped out there at a pretty high rate of speed. So if you click the gear little button in the bottom right corner and drop your quality down to like 480, it shouldn't buffer anymore. All right. So Andrew says we all need to go back to Palm Bay for 2 months. I concur. If we could find a way to grow food out there, avoid all the dirt bikers who are like causing mayhem, it could be pretty cool. Bob says all restaurants and bars are closed for all but pickup, and many are closed, period. All schools closed. Yeah, our schools are closed as well. So
until April 15th,
until April 15th at least, and they're talking about closing until the end of the school year, which is interesting.
They've canceled testing, end of year testing.
Oh, have they really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
So this means I don't have to take my SAT, finally?
Your SIT?
SAT.
Oh.
SAT.
Probably not, because I don't know what that is.
Oh, man. All right. So it's interesting to see how all of this affects all of us. As we were kind of discussing the impacts for our business, you know, we're a startup company still, even 8 years in, 8.5 years in. We have this expectation that we have to ride a very fine line between cost and income. And so losing 2 classes is devastating for us, quite frankly. Like, it really is. Because the costs don't go away. The fixed costs of mortgages and salaries and everything else, it doesn't go away. So trying to figure that out, and I'm seeing it throughout my entire entrepreneur network of people who are struggling with the same kind of thing. So one of the questions that I thought was really interesting that was brought in our private student group, it's just for our past students, was at what point do you choose as a pilot to stop flying because if you got injured, you wouldn't have proper care? And it's a question you brought up too.
Mm-hmm. It's something I've been thinking about for several days, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. And even beyond flying, at what point do we lessen those potential injurious things? I mean, not driving obviously will bring that. Staying home and not driving brings that likelihood down. I
think it all ties back. So, like, I have you and I both share very interesting beliefs on this. Like, you're going to die when it's your time.
Yes. But I'm not even necessarily talking about death.
Right, just injury.
Talking about injury, overloading a potentially already, or needing to walk into a potentially overloaded healthcare system.
Right.
For something that could be preventable by not flying.
So I think that's an interesting question, and it's a cool moral question. So my belief is that anything that we fear, that we deliberately have fear of, is something we live outside of faith in.
Right.
They're antithesis of each other, and anything that we live outside of faith in is something that we aren't living to our full potential, which is why, like, Aviator's whole mission is helping people overcome their fear through flight. Right. And I see so much fear with the coronavirus stuff, and obviously, like, we're at home. We're trying to be wise and protect those around us that we love. But at the same time, we aren't in fear of it. We're just kind of like, hey, you know, how can we make this as safe as possible? And you know, I think it's just an interesting balance and an interesting question to consider. For me, I think I will keep flying. Yeah. No matter what happens.
Yeah, I don't think there's a hard and fast right or wrong answer here. I think it's an interesting personal question to ask yourself. Is there a point where I would not be comfortable risking my safety in something that is not a life necessity? And I know, you know, many of us
right now, I'm risking stuff. I'm touching my face.
I mean, many of us believe that that flight is a necessity to our life, and so that's up for debate also. But it is an interesting question.
Well, and I think that the balance point there is to understand that if you choose to get out there and do something, maybe when you go fly, you don't take the bigger risks that you might have otherwise. You may want to, because you constantly have to self-evaluate. And this is something that was brought up on Paramotor Crazy's channel on Friday night for the Paramotor Nation show. Was that Saturday night? I don't even know what night it is now.
Sorry, that wasn't a necessary correction.
It's all right. It's all right. So that was a concept of how often do you evaluate yourself? to check and see if you're in the right headspace, if your body's in the right mental or physical shape. All these different things are very, very interesting to consider. So I don't know. It's something that, like, I love these games, these concepts of trying to better understand, like, okay, where am I right now? Where do I need to be? And how do I get myself there?
Yep.
In our last episode together, we talked about a lot about our past year and our experiences. I love understanding myself better, and using meditation and using the leadership of some good mentors has been just a huge blessing for me. So, yeah. You're smiling a lot.
I am.
You happy?
Yeah.
Oh.
I like to be with you.
I like to be with you.
That's fun.
Do you want to talk about flying this weekend? What your experience has been the last couple of days?
Sure.
What's your experience been the last couple of days?
Well, I kind of realized you and I have talked about this before, recently, that I kind of had got to the place where I'm flying once a week at best and feeling real nervous about it every time because I was having these big spans. And part of that was weather, part of that was scheduling, and part of that was just honestly lack of motivation on my part.
Yeah.
So I felt like I reached the point where I need to start flying every opportunity to really push forward and get to a place where I feel confident and where I feel excited about it, because I still just get butterflies and nerves about it every time. And
I think you have to. I mean,
well,
especially
and I know,
at
I
your
hope
level.
I keep an element of that. I'm at around 50 flights right now.
Right.
I honestly have lost track specifically, but I know it's around 50. So, yeah. So I over the last couple of days, I mean, I went tonight and I sat. It was windy. It was beyond my comfort level windy. It was steady when I finally left, but not gusty anymore. But yeah, I wasn't comfortable flying.
Well, you're so
tonight.
light. You're so light. Oh, by the way, I'm working on a smaller spider. I'm not working on it. Amelia and the team are working on it. So yeah, I'm really excited because we have all these girls learning to fly. We have all these girls learning to fly now, and we have an all girls class October 3rd, and the smallest size.
With us.
The smallest size is at 22, and it's just too big for you because you weigh like 108 pounds.
A little more. Anyway, so I'm
Not
flying.
much.
I've made the decision to do that, and I went this morning and I had 2 failed launches.
Two successful practice launches.
Sometimes it's just a failed launch. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's just a failure.
That's how I am.
But here's the thing. I'm learning to become comfortable with failure. That failure doesn't mean that I'm terrible or that I messed up in a catastrophic way.
Yeah, there's nothing that's wrong with you.
just-
It's no shame attached.
It's okay if I failed it. It's okay if the wind switched and I actually was taking off in completely the wrong direction. It's okay if I added too much power and I almost face planted, but I didn't.
I think that's been...
I failed 2 launches and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think it's been one of the most incredibly big shifts in you, is shifting from shame that this is something that you've done wrong because you are wrong, to just accepting that sometimes bad things happen and maybe you feel guilty for it.
Sometimes things don't go the way you want or expect or plan for or try for.
But it doesn't reflect on who you are as a person.
Yes.
And that is what I'm so incredibly proud of you for. So
Thanks.
we actually talked about this, and I'll share this story because it's very funny. Early on in my paramotor career, it was year 1, probably it was the week before Wings Over Winter 1. So this is late November or sometime in November. We're at the chalet, which is my family's runway. So it's a grass strip surrounded by trees and buildings. And I was on my, I want to say 11th attempt to launch. And I had you or someone else film it. I don't remember who it was. And you see me, it's no wind, like 0 wind. The wind, the 0.01 mile per hour kept shifting directions. It was early morning. No, it was evening. It was evening. And I was inflating this glider. And I get the wing overhead and I go full power and the wing would land on top of me. And it was the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced. And I'm like, what the apps? Like, what the? And we figured it out. What happened was the wing would inflate perfectly. Inflate, come overhead, wingtips would pop out. I go full power. And it was actually a down pressure. So the wing would push down. The lines would go slack. You see this perfectly inflated wing go slack and just fall directly on top of me. Over and over and over again. It was like, there are certain things that, like, this morning you were talking about, most likely you ended up laying out and launching what ended up being downwind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like
Probably.
you can't
and there was
gauge that.
such a tiny amount of wind. It was so hard to tell at all which direction it was coming from. But certainly, if there was no, it certainly was not helpful.
No.
If I was downwind.
No, and
Or is that
these early mornings with low wind are just such a challenge. So, guys, we get a whole bunch of people watching live now, and we have 16 likes and 2 dislikes. So I have a question. You guys can make a choice. This is the quarantine episode, so you have the option to either dislike immediately, everyone dislike. I want 87 dislikes, or I want 87 likes. It's your choice. I really don't mind.
I mean, like, if this is bad, then let us know. We won't do it again.
Yeah, I mean,
that's fine.
if it's not entertaining.
I mean, Netflix is waiting. Maybe Amazon Prime is waiting. Since we're not on Netflix currently.
That's true. We could go watch some
So-
Amazon. By the way, if you guys haven't watched the show Mozart in the Jungle and you like music like we do,
Oh,
by the way, this is the first time people have seen your piano.
Isn't it pretty?
This technically, I don't think we technically own this, but it is our most prized possession. It's worth more than my airplane.
That's so beautiful. I love it so much.
This is her uncle's. So he's an incredible piano restorer, and you've had that since high school.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, Fobio asked you to play some piano, and this is something I was actually going to ask you to do myself. So I think at the end of the show, guys, we will be played out if my wife will allow us. And I think that I will just run the microphone over to the piano if you're down. No pressure.
Let's see. Yes,
Pressure.
Exactly.
Pressure.
Let's see.
More pressure.
Give me a minute.
More pressure.
Pressure. I hear Fletch. Pressure. Pressure. I know he's in the chat.
He is. Fletch, good to see you, brother.
Okay, I wanted to bring something up though. Someone asked, and I apologize, I don't remember exactly who it was earlier. Several scrolls up. Is this how we really talk? And that was just an interesting question to me.
Sometimes it's how we really talk. Most of the time.
Because I feel like it is, but
I think the biggest difference between this kind of conversation, where we're clearly like in front of people and we're trying to serve their needs.
Yes.
Our conversations usually have a lot more. Are you okay? What's going on? Like our conversations are the same tempo or very similar tempo, but with a lot more like inquisitiveness to ensure that the other person's okay.
And more pause.
Yeah, and more
Probably.
pause because we're trying to be entertaining, guys. Jeez.
I'll do jumping jacks.
I mean, you've already danced.
I mean, it's a joke. What Chris keeps asking me.
I do enjoy
keeps
you.
asking me to do jumping jacks.
I enjoy
I'm
you
like,
doing
sure,
jumping
buddy.
jacks. I enjoy it. So I might make you have you go off camera for that one, just because I wouldn't mind watching that for a while. Oh my god!
I can't take him anywhere. I can't even take him home.
Nope. Not a reasonable. I would not recommend it. I would not recommend it at all. I mean, the cool thing is now I have the Stream Deck, so I have all the buttons. This is pretty cool stuff. Oh, hang on. Let me get my arm around.
That's fun times.
This is the Stream Deck, so I can do cool things like
What's
break.
happening?
I can do cool things like I have cam 2, but that's not going to work. I can switch it. So you guys can
Darkness.
see. You guys can see what's behind the camera. Do you guys see what's behind the camera there? You see those incredible plants. So one thing you have to understand about my wife is
What's happening with plants? I'm so.
I switched to the FaceTime camera, so I was able to show what's on the windowsill. So you know all the words and names for these things. I don't. You can't see that many plants in the main shot, but you should know.
There are a lot.
Have you counted?
Not lately.
I would estimate somewhere between 230 and 400 plants in our home.
That's probably fair. I'm not even gonna argue with that.
He said he wants to see him again. Let's see. Where is there we go. I think you can see him right there. There's tape over part of the camera because, security concerns. But yeah. So that's
Showing up there.
I have no idea. I don't even they're green. It's a plant. I don't know.
Bless you.
So yeah, she is a plant lady, and Charlie wants to know if they have names. She knows the Latin names for them all.
I don't name my plants. It's not my thing to name my plants.
You would get too attached.
Too late.
Not that they die often, but when they do, it's pretty sad.
It is sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
So Vertical said, 3 kids, how is your home so peaceful? Bedtime was at 7 o'clock. They're still awake. and somehow they haven't barged in. Last night, I counted 23 interruptions after official lights out. So, yeah. Daniel, I want a sneak peek also. Shondor doesn't get to have all the fun. I want to see a sneak peek of whatever video you're working on. Man. All right. Let me catch my breath. We do a lot of that too. We're a little bit weird. Yeah. So, any questions? I saw a question earlier asking about they need to get a new wing. Tell us what you're flying now. Tell us what you are excited about flying. What kind of flying you like to do. What do you weigh? What motor do you fly? What altitude do you fly at?
Where do you live?
All that stuff helps.
Yep.
Quick shout out to Jean DeJong from Alley Cat Signs. John is one of our past students. He's one of our students from British Columbia or Vancouver. Linda, if you're buffering, I recommend turning the quality down. If you click on the little gear at the bottom right corner of the screen, you can turn the quality down. So John is an incredible sign manufacturer, and he had these beautiful banners made, which Nell was kind enough to pick up for us. Great question from Phobio. He asks, Eric, what is your favorite cereal? I hate breakfast. I understand. Some of you may never trust me again.
I may never trust you again.
So here's the deal with me and breakfast. Breakfast, I don't like sweets. I like things that are like round flavors, and sweets are all just like, ugh. She is a sweets nut, which is great for us. So like I do like waffles because I love the crunchy edges. That's the only breakfast food I actually enjoy. When we used to teach every morning, Jason Parker blasphemy, phobia, thumbs down this video. Cereal is holy. I mean, I like corn puffs. But I eat them as like a snack.
Life cereal.
And Life cereal's good. It's probably my favorite if I had to pick one. But here's the deal. It's like we used to go to. I have an old. Oh, okay. We'll talk, Bill. We'll get to that.
Yes.
Bill, let us know what you weigh and where you live. So. We used to go to breakfast every morning after training, right? We go train in the morning, and we go to breakfast at the Lake Wales Family Diner. My buddy owns it. Frank owns it. Good old Frank. And Frank would see us coming with our party of 16 or whatever it would be, and they'd take great care of us. We'd have quesadillas as our appetizers for breakfast, and I always loved that. And I had stuffed French toast they bring as well. And after a while, I'd eaten everything on the menu at least 10 times, and I got tired of steak and eggs. And so I know that's blasphemy as well. So I started making my own. So at first it was lasagna at 9:30 in the morning because I love lasagna, and they use Stouffer's lasagna. And what's not to love about Stouffer's lasagna, right? It's like that was my childhood food. So eventually I got tired of just lasagna. So I started adding a chicken parmesan on top of said lasagna. So they call it the Eric. It's a chicken parm on top of a lasagna for breakfast. It's fabulous, guys. I'm telling you. So I should note, Johnson Q brought up a great point, by the way. Johnson, love you, brother. Glad you're home safe. What about gallo pinto, eggs, and meaties? So I don't love American breakfast. European, South American, Central American, I am all about that life. You get me cheese and meat, I'm happy. You get me gallo pinto, which is a Costa Rican breakfast specialty. It's a black beans and rice with a lot of incredible seasonings. And then you get beef stew, like stewed beef on top of it with some eggs. So
good.
Guys, I could eat anything else anywhere else. Jonathan Hardwick. All right. I'm going to tell more stories. Jonathan, I'm going to ask you this question. How in detail do you want me to go with my memory, my broken-headed memory of our training experiences together? Because Jonathan was one of my instructors from high school. Jonathan, great to see you, my friend. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. We wore green.
We did.
I wore the same shirt as last week because it was lighter green. You win.
I wasn't on last week, so it doesn't matter.
It's true. All right.
Hi, Brian. Brian's watching.
We got some great people here, guys.
Yeah.
We got Bill H. says he weighs 165 pounds, lives in Northwest Louisiana. Kyle O. Country. Jonathan Hardwick says to use my creative skills. All right. Jonathan, we've got some stories coming. I think at least 15% are accurate. At least they are they're on the spectrum. Maybe autistic. I'm not sure. All right. So, Bill, I would greatly encourage you to look into the honestly, the new Mojo Power 2 is going to be incredible. I've been flying that. It's really, really, really incredible, but that's a ways out right now. Look into a Mojo. We have them new in stock. If you are prepared, if Kyle thinks you're prepared for a Spider 3, the Spider is also an incredible, incredible thing. Yeah. Devin Albrecht says, serious question, where did you guys stream yesterday? I can't find any streaming service that has it. We streamed it off of a buddy of our server, so I'm not sure where else it would be. Look into Redbox. See if Redbox has it.
Yeah.
It would seem about the right time.
Yeah.
Again, for those of you guys who were not here earlier, the movie yesterday is a movie about the Beatles. Well, not actually about the Beatles, but has their music in it.
Inspired by their music, maybe.
We went like on a tear. We usually watch like one movie a month, and we went on a tear in a week. We watched like 4 movies that were all awesome.
And they were all so good.
Yeah.
What else did we watch? We watched yesterday. And
The Queen one.
Rocket Man.
Not Rocket Man.
Not Rocket Man.
Queen.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yep.
I don't remember. Charlie's Angels was actually fun.
It was fun. I mean, if you understand what you're getting into.
Oh, it's a shit movie, a crap movie, but it's. I did the thing. I think that's the second time it's ever.
Do I flick you or charge you money? I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. All right, so Jonathan Hardwick's one of my previous instructors. He says, this virus reminds you of the time I flew the Cub back to Bartow from your place really quick when the American Airlines plane crashed just after 9/11. So Jonathan and I, let me give some backstory. So I was very blessed as a kid to grow up at an airport. Like grew up at a K-Ray says Eric needs a 7-second delay. Apparently I've never done that on this show, I don't think. Sorry guys, sorry kids who are watching, I apologize. What I really mean was poopy.
That's what I heard you say.
In a second, Linda's be like, "Did you guys freeze?" Like, no, we didn't freeze. So yeah. Whoa, there goes my phone.
There's a phone.
I don't need that. Let's see. Who's this from? I don't even know. Oh, it's from Dan. All right. So Jonathan and I met because I grew up at this airport. I ended up working at Brown Seaplane Base, basically as a line boy. So my job as line boy was to fuel and hand prop airplanes. It was great. Awesome time. Jonathan was an instructor there. He ended up having access to an airplane. It was 6666 Hotel was the airplane. It was 1946 Piper Cub or 47? 46. Pretty sure 46. And so he would come and pick me up at the chalet. We'd fly around. He needed log hours. He didn't charge me anything. And he was always like the most gracious guy ever. And eventually, I don't know how I convinced Jonathan of this, but I had somehow convinced Jonathan that I was a very capable pilot. I'd already soloed ultralights about 6 months before this, and so we'd flown together some, and we went up to Gainesville, and we rented a Citabria. I'm not sure why this happened. I don't remember why.
So many questions.
So Citabria was an awesome airplane, and Jonathan checked me out at it, which meant that he sat in the back seat for an hour, signed my logbook, and he's like, okay, you're good for your first solo. So this is my first GA solo. I already had about 220, 260 hours of ultralight time in that very short period of time because I was flying 3, 4, 5 hours a day. And I take off and I come around and I do my 3 landings. You have to do 3 full stop landings. And I land the first time, land the second time. And I've never flown out of a towered airport. Ever. It's gusting like 22 knots crosswind. I've never landed a tail wheel on asphalt. I've always landed in the grass beside the runway. Yeah. Can't do either of those things. I'm in the middle of all this just crazy chronic crap storm. I almost said it again.
Look at you.
And Jonathan's on the ground just like, you dumbass. I didn't finish the sentence. And so my third landing, I didn't ask for the option to take off again. So they weren't full stop. They were touch and go. So I did 2 touch and goes, and then I was coming back around for another touch and go, and he cleared me to land, but did not clear me for the option. And so he happened to have the wherewithal. The air traffic controller had the wherewithal to go, hey, I'm going to hold this regional jet on the opposite runway and not have him take off into this dummy, who can barely speak on comms. Vertical asked if experimental planes can fly into air traffic control. Yes, you can. So I have another 48 minutes on my... So I get off the ground the third time. the air traffic controller goes, you weren't cleared to take off. I go, I'm a student pilot. I'm really sorry. He goes, it's okay. There's a regional jet on runway 11 that we held for you. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm a student pilot. Please forgive me. And then I immediately go just north of there and inform him that I'm activating the aerobatic box because I want to fly aerobatics. And he goes, I thought you were a student pilot. And I was like, yeah, but you put me in an aerobatic airplane. This is my first solo. He's like, what? So I flew aerobatics in the box, and that's how I remember it. Jonathan, don't correct me. I like it better my way. Unless you have a better version. If you have a better version, I'll give it to you.
There it is.
My favorite other Jonathan story is we were flying. Somehow I crammed myself into a Pulsar with him from Orlando North to Lake Wales. And I'd never flown a fast airplane before, and we were trying to slow down. We started slowing down in Haines City, and the airplane wouldn't slow down. We were like 4,500 feet, and we're like trying to slow the airplane down. And finally, he figured out how the speed brakes on the wings worked. But literally, like we were at idle for like 30 miles, and we're still doing like 160 miles an hour. And then for some reason, this is a different instructor. I certainly wouldn't name this instructor because what they did was a little wild. But they signed me off to start because I was test flying. I'd owned a whole bunch of Minimax and Himax aircraft, and somebody contacted me, and I'd done it like 5 times before, test flown someone's airplane for the first time. So I'm 17 years old. I'm a student pilot, and I called Jonathan. I'm like, hey, bro, would you mind signing me off to test fly this airplane? And he's like, how many hours do you have in it? I'm like, well, I have like, 300-400 hours in this type, but I've got time in 13 different ones, the same thing. Yeah. This one has a bigger engine, but, it's in California. And Jonathan's like, cool. I mean, somebody was like, cool. So as a student pilot, you have to be signed off per airport and per aircraft. So I now have a logbook that has pages of sign-offs for all kinds of different airplanes, all kinds of different airports. Like, before I got my private pilot's license, I had time in 81 different types of airplanes. Like, I'd flown all kinds of stuff, and most of it, I was signed off to fly solo. And it was because of guys like Jonathan and other friends who saw that I had the capacity. I just couldn't do a daggum written test to save my life. That's a cool story. Let's tell that story. You want to tell the story about getting my written, my private, and what your experience was with that? How you acted as an encourager. How about that? Let me give you a little more specificity.
I thought you should do it.
Keep going.
All right.
No, so I was terrified.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with this. So give me a little more lead in here.
Yeah, so I was terrified of my written. I was terrified to take my written. I had 1,215 or 1,208 hours before I got my private pilot's license. And part of it's because I had friends who were instructors to sign me off, and they removed the necessity. And I both thank you, and I wish you hadn't in some ways. Hindsight. But when I finally decided to do it, it was a really emotional thing for me.
It was.
Like, it was a big deal to go from
It was a big deal.
Okay, I can do that. I hadn't flown a lot of fixed wing lately, in the last decade.
You were not confident in your ability to do the written test. You really were struggling.
Sorry, our son is walking by.
You were really struggling with your confidence in that area. And I know that it was at least partly financial. The concept of taking a test that costs a few $100s.
I think the written was $200 and the practical was $5.
Yeah, so spending that kind of money at a time when we really could not afford to spend that kind of money.
No, we were launching Aviator, and every penny went into the business.
Yeah, with what you felt like was a significant risk that you would fail, and that money would be for nothing, which that wouldn't even have been the case.
No.
But it was one of the reasons that you stacked on.
Yeah, I kept putting it off because and I think there's a certain part of us, and this is maybe the case for one of you guys out there right now watching who's not flying yet. The reality is that we are so afraid to fail. As humans, we're afraid of every kind of being made to look a fool. And especially like I was a good pilot. I was talented. I was given a lot of opportunities to fly all sorts of stuff. And, whether it's doing loops and super Stearmans or playing around and being able to, to push myself with the skills was fine, but trying to push my brain with my ADD, my ADHD, all the other things that were going on, all the things that were firing, it was really, really challenging. And so we finally, my cousin Helder was over and he's like, hey, I'm taking my written on Friday. And it was Wednesday. And I was like, really? It's like, do you think they have more space for another person in the testing center? And he's like, we can call him. So we called him right then. And we literally, it was 2 days of study. We studied for like 10 hours with him, and then the rest of the hours by myself. And then I took the written, and I passed. And I did not get a perfect score, but I passed. I think I got a 76 or an 82. It
doesn't matter.
You passed. I struggled with the memory of the math stuff, the weight and balance. And guys, to this day, I suck at latitude, longitude. So I think they asked like where this lat land was, and I thought it was in Morocco. I was wrong. So it was like in Alabama or something. It was really bad. So yeah. So but it's one of those things I think is so valuable to push yourself to look at your fear in the face, to look at something that scares you, look at something that overwhelms you, and say, how do we push ourselves into that area? How do we look at our life and say, okay, what is it right now? And it could be anything for anybody that's listening. What is it right now that you're putting off because you're afraid of failure? Because the thing that you're afraid of failure, and I mentioned this earlier, the idea that fear and faith are antithesis of each other. Yeah. If we can look at that and own it and say, I want to be in faith, I want to be in hope, I want to be in joy, I want to be in love, I want to be in kindness, we can do so much more with our lives, right? So for us, the school with Aviator has always been about helping people push beyond their fear. Yeah. And I watched you do it. What's been some of your recent ones? And to tie
into that, what I said a little bit ago is that's why I am okay to say I failed 2 launches this morning. Yeah. I tried twice to launch and they were failures. And it's okay. Yeah. I will try again. It doesn't mean that it's the end. It just means it didn't work that time.
And we've talked about this in the past, but one of the things that really defined me as a high schooler and a college age kid was this idea that I refuse to worry, I refuse to fear things that won't affect me in 5 years. And I fail at this constantly, but it's something that anytime I think about, I say, okay, I am afraid of this, or I'm frustrated with this, or this overwhelms me. Oftentimes it's like not choosing to fire someone I should have, or not dealing with an emotional issue with a relationship. Most of the time those things won't affect us in 5 years, and so if you can live by that, because most things that matter will still matter in 5 years. Most things that don't just won't. Yeah. So if you start with baby steps,
it's usually pretty easy to put them into one of the 2 categories.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's another thing that I live by. I've been going through. Thank you, Jane Ellen, if you're watching. Jane Ellen's my new editor. She's helping me with production of newsletters and stuff. Have you guys been getting the newsletters? Do you like the newsletters? Is there something you'd like us to see added to our newsletter? Because it's going to be going out every 2 weeks. Let us know in the comments below right now. I want to know what your thoughts are, please. Yeah. So there was a question here from Jim asking what's going to happen with my other
He's asked a couple times as well.
I know. I appreciate Jim for staying on top of this. What is going to happen with my other airplanes when the Kit Fox is done? So, man, that's a tough one.
But I don't know why this is. I mean, they live together in the hangar. I don't understand the question.
All right. So my Cub went away in December of 2018. I added the Cessna 120 in November of the same year, which was I planned on flipping it, buying it. I bought it really cheap, planned on flipping it, and I ended up keeping it. The goal being to utilize it for our employees to be able to get their pilot's licenses for free. So for those of you guys who have an interest in working here, that's one of the benefits, because getting your pilot's license can be very expensive. So we're in the midst of trying to make that happen. In fact, it's actually going to Denellen. As soon as the annual's finished, it's flying up to Denellen for a new paint job, and so that Denellen instructors can all get their pilot's license. So the plan, Jim, is that every airplane has a purpose. Yeah. Just because you buy a new pair of socks doesn't mean you throw out the old ones. Or let's rephrase this: a new pair of shoes So let's say you go out and buy yourself some golf spikes. All right. So that's basically what a Kit Fox is. It is utilized in very specific areas. Like, it's not going to get flown all over Florida. It's just not, because there's not a lot of land that I can land on that's off field, that's legal. The RV is staying for sure. I may sell this one and buy a different one just because I want a slider canopy so I can put more paramotors in the back more easily. But the RV is the Honda Accord of the sky, except it's really, really fast. It's more like the Toyota Supra. It's cheap to operate and really fun. That thing is like, it's the ultimate. So the RV flies probably 2 to 3 days a week. I fly to Tampa, to Denellen, to the East Coast. I go somewhere all the time.
Yeah, I don't think that there's necessarily a cap on number of aircraft to own. I know
it's cost. I mean, it's
I don't know that having one completed means that we need to move another one out.
No,
you know what
so
I mean? It's not necessarily.
The 120 would be first to go. After I start flying the Kit Fox and see how it feels, like if it feels like I can competently teach students in it, then yes, I will be happy to just I'm gonna get rid of the 120. However, the 120 right now is a low cost. I mean, it costs like $18 an hour to operate. So I don't know. We'll see. The 120 would be up the chopping block after paint. We have the ADS-B going in, etc. But yeah, so Bob Garber says, how's the Kit Fox build going? So guys, new video in 2 weeks, give or take. I just talked to Dan tonight. He filmed the latest episode right before he left. The engine is in the airplane. It is running. We are waiting to start covering, and it is coming together. 009 says, any idea if the Moster will have a big brother in the near future? Moster 250 or 300? Actually, yes. Great question. The new Cosmo 300 or Cosmos 300 should be out by this fall. They expect to have it at Coupe Car, is my understanding. Maybe sooner. I hope to have one to test it by May. I really want one. We have a brand new Fly Products in it that's sitting there, literally like sitting there waiting for an engine. So that is the big brother for triking. And then they have the new Moster 185 Factory R, which is very similar power to a Polini 250. Apparently, it's like 100 kilos of thrust. But that's a very expensive engine, and it's not for everyone. It's like the Moster has a very smooth power band. The Factory R is like, so, you know.
Craig Couch says the cap on airplanes is 1 each, and since we have 5 in our family, I think we're under currently. Yeah,
we're good.
So as long as you don't bring home a daggone microwave.
So my wife has a problem with me. So for those of you guys who don't know, so I grew up at a 5-star restaurant. My great-grandparents started, or great-grandmother started. My grandfather was a chef. My grandmother was a chef. My uncle's a chef. My mom was a chef. Like all of them were in this incredible restaurant that had the Golden Spoon Award for many, many years. It was a great place to eat. It's where I grew up. It's where I started working when I was 8 years old. I started as a line cook by the time I was 10 or 11. So like I love to cook. Like I love to cook.
You do.
And
you're a good cook.
I do all right.
Do a good job. You do well. Don't undersell yourself.
She's really good.
He does well.
And so I may or may not own 3 sous vide machines because like I grew up cooking very traditionally. Like you do everything very traditionally. And now as more technology has come around, and I have my buddy Marcos is the chef at 1961 in Lakeland, who's a phenomenal restaurant, probably the best restaurant in the state, honestly. He uses all these modern things. And I'm like, this is really cool. So I just started collecting things. And we have a very, very small kitchen. And my wife told me I could bring home a new airplane before I could bring home another kitchen appliance.
Specifically microwaves. I just don't know where I'm going to put microwave.
We haven't had a microwave. We've had a microwave for 6 months since we've been married.
Yeah, 6 months and 10 years.
That's not too bad. Not too bad.
No.
Jim says grilling is best. I agree. I love to grill. Yeah. We have a smoker now at the shop, which great story because he's in the chat. Vertical Lines, who is real name is Mark. He's from New York City, and the first day of his class, there's this thing called the Orange Blossom Review in Lake Wales, and it's a great time. It's a barbecue competition, live music, down by the lake, and we go every year, and they give away a grill every year, a smoker every year, and generally I didn't buy the tickets. I'm like, that's too expensive. And Vertical went and bought a ticket, and he wrote on it, said, Mark, I don't want it for Aviator PPG. So my buddy who's putting on the event, Rusty Ingley, gets up on the stage. He goes like, and Mark came to me right after everybody. He goes, hey, I bought a ticket and you're going to win. Like, we're going to win it. And I was like, cool, man. Have another beer. Like, I didn't know it was day one. And so we're at the Orange Blossom Review, and all of a sudden I hear the winner of the smoker is Mark doesn't want it. Aviator. Where's Eric Farewell? And we freaking won it. And so I upgraded. It was like $200. We got for $200, we upgraded the biggest size. And so we can do like these massive racks of ribs and everything else. And we do it for barbecues at the shop with our students. And it was really funny. And Vertical, you're the man, dude. We're still using it. It made some great food, my friend.
Yes, for sure.
Great food. All right. Jason Parker, I'm going to take a drink of wine because I'm losing my voice a little bit. Hang on. You want to read the question from Jason?
Jason says, have you talked to any of your Italian distributors? How are they doing?
Man.
Whew.
So let me...
It's intense over there.
I'll just read it. It's easier this way. So this was this morning. I asked Naveed at Fly Products. I said, how are things in Italy, my friend? He says, 2 days ago, 370 deaths. Yesterday, 300 plus. Fly Products is still operating. We send out with carriers, no problem. For the rest, we try to keep our heads above water as we are limited. Polini shut down last week with no notice. Viterazzi is still in operation currently. Our understanding is that there is there's a lot going on. They're locked down. Naveed's working from home when he can. When he has to go to work, he has a permit. But my understanding is that the permit only allows you to go exactly where you're going. And if you deviate whatsoever, you actually get fined the first time. And I believe the second time is 30 days of jail time in quarantine.
Wow.
So they're taking it extremely seriously.
Yeah.
I think that it's something to keep in mind. It's something to consider. Like we're very blessed that this didn't hit the U.S. first, because we're able to look at other countries and say, okay, this is what's happened. And that's very important. So Christine asked, do you have an Eclipse in stock? Actually, yes, we do. We have 4 Eclipse Mosters in stock. We have 3 Eclipse 80s on their way, as well as 2 Rider 185s or 3 Rider 185s, a few more Flash Cruisers, and we just got a Eco 2 Lite. And the Eco has the 52 horsepower ridiculous motor on it, so that's going to be the most baller tandem machine in the history of mankind. So, Shondor and Linda say, Olive Garden, I'm hungry. Guys, I'm going to encourage you once again, if you didn't hear the beginning of the podcast, we are here at our home.
Yes.
Because we are practicing social distancing. We're doing our best to try to stop the spread of this virus. There is a great store or post on the Aviator page right now if you want to go look at the Aviator page on Facebook, and you can see a really, really good mathematical explanation as to why it's so important to distance ourselves. Our class in Lake Wales is officially quarantined. They're not to get meals at restaurants. They're not to get to even if they're staying in a hotel, they're encouraged to only go back once a day and immediately wash hands as they go through everything else. So we're always working on this stuff. Craig says, site says still says sold out. Oh, on the Eclipse? Interesting. Thank you, Craig. We may be sold out of the Flash Cruisers. They have not arrived yet. We got a Zenith and we have a Eco 2 Lite here. So we're trying to keep up with a kind of a skeleton crew. Our plan is, anybody who can work from home, they're welcome to. And right now we're still shipping stuff same day. But I've told the employees who are doing that, both Janelle and Catherine, that if they want to work from home and come ship stuff once a week or twice a week, it's fine with me. I don't think that's going to be the situation right now, but we basically segregated everyone. So all the people at the red shops are on their own working. All the people in the North Complex, because we have such a large facility there, it's a 60 by 90 hangar. So we have the war room, which is all our shipping, receiving. There on one side, Alex is in the main hangar working on the Kit Fox. Allie has her office now. Chris is in my office. I moved all my computers here so I could stay with the family. So we were we're trying to segment ourselves in an attempt to reduce the amount of infection.
Yeah, exposure.
And exposure, exactly. So, guys, this is all part of it. And actually, great point there from 50X from Harley. He says he's social distancing himself, but it's on wheels. He gets to fly wherever he stops. The considerations, the things to think through. So, like, I am a end of the world book junkie. It's what I read.
For fun.
4 years, for nearly a decade. That's been my primary reading thing at night. So the interesting thing about doing that is watching how closely the real world actions have come, like how they followed. So, we are in a position now where, like, Harley should be wearing gloves every time he's fueling, because think about all the contact points. Trying to minimize your contact points anywhere the virus might be is crucial. So it's definitely a consideration. Michael Whistler, I just want to say, Mike, it's so freaking awesome to see you in here.
Yes.
I think about you often, my friend. I really do. I hope that he said he ordered a whole bunch of extra insulin and diabetes supplies. I'm scared about that most. I don't blame you. If you want to read the most incredible book that will make you weep like a little baby girl, the book 1 Second After is a great foundational book to understand what can happen in this world. It's not a pandemic book. It's an EMP book. Fantastic. You got to read the whole series. Really good stuff. 009 says he's hunkered down for the next 2 to 3 weeks until my daughter's high school reopens. My wife and I are fortunate that we can both telecommute. Oh, that's amazing, man. That's awesome. Craig Taylor asks, what is scheduling going to do? Are you going to push back? Yeah. Yep. We already are. We just closed the next 2 classes in Lake Wales and Denali. We closed a class in each place. To see what's going to happen. We really hope we don't have to close the next classes, because I'm going to need all you guys to buy paramotors if that happens. Otherwise, we're going to have to, like, I don't know. I literally don't know what we would do. Like, if we have to close 4 classes, how do we suspend operations, retain employees? Like, and this is not to scare our employees. We have an all hands meeting with all our employees tomorrow. And, like, we're always trying to figure out the best way to do things.
We figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
As we've always done.
It's just, the reality is, like, it
just looks a lot different than what we planned for.
We're trying to add to our staff right now, not cut it down. We're trying to open another location, not cut the locations. We're trying to, our goal is always, how many people can we influence? And the only way we can influence more people and have them have a great experience learning to fly is by having more staff, by doing more, so. This hopefully is just a speed bump.
Not freeze.
Yeah, hopefully this is a speed bump, and it's not going to continue to affect our classes, because we want to keep blessing people. And Daniel Jones says it perfectly. He says small businesses are struggling everywhere.
That's true.
I don't want to say too much, but, like, the reality is, even closing 2 classes is more than our profit for the whole year so far. It's like it really, really hurts. And mind you, the first quarter of every year is always our worst, because it's when it's cold everywhere but here. So it's definitely a delicate balance. I don't want to say, like, oh, we're broke and we're screwed, and blah. This is not a woe is me thing. It's more of just like an honest, like, we are trying to figure out what to do. We really are. So, Paramotor Crazy, good to see you, my brother, man. Great to see you. Much love. John to John, the Lord will provide, Eric, for my business and yours. Yes, sir. I believe that there's something greater than us at work always.
Provision is out there.
All right. Parameter Crazy says, your shirt says it all. Altitude is everything. Amen, brother. Amen. Devin Albrecht says, crazy fun fact, Chicago Midway Tower is evacuated. Tower was infected. The airport is currently Class E. I can't imagine what Midway would be like as a self-announced airport. Can you imagine? I read that article just before the podcast, and it's really, really interesting.
Wow.
So Linda Anderson says something really powerful. She says, we're all going to survive this craziness. And guys, the reality is we must. Yep. Even if you die due to the craziness, the rest of us must survive.
Or feel as if you are dying.
And we must do all that we can to support each other. We must do everything we possibly can to support and to promote and to live beyond fear. So don't be foolish. Be wise, but do great things. Find ways that you can amplify the life of others. I've seen a bunch of people on my Facebook feed the last 2 days that was really fabulous. One was offering free babysitting if to anybody who needs it because their kids are out of school. One was actually several now I've seen offering to shop for elderly. Guys, there's so many great tools available to us now. We paid $4 plus a $5 tip because I'm a nice person, at least tried to be, to have all of our groceries delivered today. Like it's really incredible to have an opportunity to be able to bless people throughout this. So Robert says, send me some toilet paper. Robert, tell me where you are, brother. I will send you a roll of toilet paper. I got you, my friend.
He will brave the post office for you.
No, I will go to my office and put it in a. Actually, I'm afraid do you think if I just
he will make Jane Ellen brave the post. I'm just kidding.
What do you think? If I took a roll of toilet paper and I wrapped it in tape and I mailed it, do you think it would arrive? Do you think that it would be stolen?
I didn't even know you'd have to do that. I think you just have to. You have to put the proper amount of postage on pretty much anything.
But do you think it would be stolen?
Now there's an interesting question.
How much could we insure it for?
Okay,
Could we insure it for $100,000 and write please steal me?
Why? I don't know where he lives. How far is it going? I have questions. So many questions.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh my gosh. 009 says, how many rolls of toilet paper for a spider? About $3,900 worth, my friend. That's a lot of toilet paper.
So what's the going rate on toilet paper these days? I don't even know.
I have no idea either. Oh, Todd from Behind the Bunkers here. Todd, I'm so sorry to get to see you before you left. I need to mail you some lenses from my friends at Fuse. He says that they got back to Canada and it was mandated to close his business indefinitely until this passes. Wow. Fingers crossed this works itself out. A bunch of my friends have the same issue where they are bar or restaurant owners and they're dealing with the exact same thing. And I'm not sure, obviously we are genuinely concerned for the health aspect because of the elderly members of our family. But there's a lot, guys. There's a lot that is going to affect us economically. And we can look at other countries who've gone through this, and Lord willing, we will rise above because we're doing something that we believe is good. Go ahead. You read questions. I'll do other things.
Well, Michael says that someone would 100% take the roll of toilet paper, and it's a crazy world, so you're probably right. I know that things like bananas have made it through. Like, people mail all kinds of crazy things. But right now, you're probably right. A roll of toilet paper would probably be stolen.
I meant to start the show by both of us wearing like 3 of our Aviator masks. Like
the buffs.
The buffs.
That's amazing. And yes, I mean, I don't know about all over Florida, but in our area, restaurants are doing takeout, and you can still dine in if that's your option.
They've been mandated to do 50% of capacity.
They can only fill to 50%.
And they're supposed to stay 6 feet apart at all times. But we're not seeing that followed. I have a lot of friends in the restaurant industry because that's what I grew up in. And we're not seeing it followed.
That's so hard. I mean,
how do you stay profitable at 50% capacity, especially if you have a 30 or 40% food cost?
And how do you dictate how close your patrons are to each other? That would be really hard to enforce.
Yeah,
it's business. So
the path that all the books I've read, which are hundreds of these terrible novels, really good books actually. I recommend everyone read anything by Bobby Akart, A-K-A-R-T. He's phenomenal. Or the Jakarta Pandemic. It's a great one for right now to freak yourself out.
You're going full geek right
Allie's
now.
Allie's gonna murder me. I got Allie to get Jakarta Pandemic. She's like, you made me freak out so badly. I'm like, no, it's just good to have good information. I love the Jakarta Pandemic.
But Daniel Jones wants to know why no one is buying bulk wine.
Bro, we are.
If you're stuck at home, why wouldn't you need a load of wine? I mean,
we have boxes of wine. We have bottles of wine. What we should do one day is just do a liquor room tour of our show. We look like crazy alcoholics. I just like selection. So whenever possible, I try to add selection. It's good stuff. Options. Bill Gleason is in the chat. Bill, I love you, brother. You are at risk. At your age, please stay home. And anything we can do to serve you, if you need us to shop for you, if you need us to do anything to bless your family, let us know. We are happy to help. If you need some canned goods, brother, I got you.
Also, I'm a little irritated that he launched this morning and I did not.
Oh, man.
I'm definitely jealous of your flight this morning. So congratulations for that, I suppose.
Yeah. Brian Pearson says, are shipments still coming in from Europe like wings and motors? Yes, they are. Currently, shipments are business as usual, like no issues. We have a whole bunch of motors coming in for everything. So, yeah. Paramotor Crazy asks, where's the Jefferson bottle? Yeah, that is your variation. Hang on.
Ew, wait for it.
I haven't even opened it yet. All right, so David came down to Palm Bay and probably infected us all with coronavirus. But he bought me a bottle of Jefferson Reserve, which I just love. Good bourbon.
Shall I get you a glass?
I have a glass.
Well,
Hang on.
This wine I didn't know if you needed.
Oh, no, I'll wash it out first. This is some Jefferson. Thank you, David. I am very disappointed in you that you did not share this with me. Very disappointed. Dave says, yeah, sure, blame me. Daniel Jones says, if your deliveries need to be held in Europe, I'll look after them after you. Yes, you may, my friend. You may have to do that. We'll see. Jeez. All right, any other questions, guys? We got Nevada in here. We got Bob Garber. Bob, I love Jefferson Ocean. Jefferson Ocean is in my top 5 favorite whiskeys of all time. Really good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
You talk for a while.
But what shall I say?
I would say, we could just sing.
I mean, we could. What would we sing?
So our students last night in Denellen were doing karaoke in the hangar. And I about cried watching. I need to get them to send me the videos.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it was epic.
Why didn't you tell me? Why am I only now hearing about this?
Well, they Snapchatted it, which I never opened Snapchat because notifications aren't on.
Was I already asleep?
No, I got them this afternoon. And I was like, oh my god, it's amazing. So they need to film that and continue doing that. So, Daniel Jones, Nell, what was your best flight?
Oh, best flight. Honestly, I had a great flight yesterday morning. I'm not sure that I have enough flights yet to have like a best flight. I stay very close to the landing zone. I don't do anything crazy or even moderately not super safe. But yesterday morning, my flight, I feel like that's super loud.
I feel like it was really loud too. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. I flew and I got up and the sun had just come up before I got in the air, and it was a really important moment for me because it was the first time that I had flown in several days, and I had not had a great flying experience before that. I had made some mistakes, made some bad calls, had misjudged some things, and I had nothing terrible happen, but I was some not exciting thing. Some overly exciting things happened maybe. Anyway, so when I got up in the air yesterday morning and just sitting in the sunrise and feeling its light pour into me and feeling the light that was in me reciprocate. That sounds...
No. I think it sounds silly, but
it just...
people will track with you.
I felt peaceful. I felt victorious. I felt connected. I felt... It was great. Yesterday morning was great.
And I think that I'm gonna find your post really quick because
I nailed my landing.
Hell yeah!
Always a good time.
She posted. She said, "The light from this morning's sunrise was a reminder of the light I hold deep inside myself. I'm choosing to allow myself to be loved and cared for. I'm choosing to make joy at home in my heart and my body." And I think that is a beautiful, beautiful line. For those of you guys who don't follow Nell, it's behind the yellow door on Instagram. The reality is that we're always given the opportunity to either reflect light that comes into us back out, or to become a piece of darkness, become a piece that's just empty. And throughout all of this fear, all of this danger, it's very easy to go, oh man, there's like major stuff happening in the world I don't have control over. What do I do? What do I do with my hands?
Hold mine.
I'm holding yours. But the reality is, like, we need to choose to find ways to reflect that light forward. How do we continue to live? Like, I've encouraged you every flyable session. You've gone the last 4 flyable sessions. You've gone to the airport. and 4 times in 2 days. And I think it's so powerful to look at things that inspire you, to look at things that make you feel more alive and say, I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it. I'm making sure the camera's still. By the way, if the camera dies, you guys have to tell us. I have to go change the battery. So, yeah, but I think it's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of you.
Thanks.
I'm very proud of you.
Well, and I think a big piece of that for me too, as you alluded to by reading my post from earlier, is allowing myself to be cared for. It's uncomfortable for me. I am someone who is much more comfortable caring for other people. And I don't like to admit that I need help. I don't like to admit that in some ways that people have something to offer me, because it makes me feel weak. It makes me feel needy. I have a horror of being needy. While at the same time knowing that I am a very deeply needy person.
Right.
It's such a weird balance. But the last few days, the last few flying sessions have been me embracing people caring for me, Eric in being the one to joyfully stay with our kids, so that I can go, because I'm the primary caregiver for our 3 kids. And it is a sacrifice to be the one to stay with the kids so the spouse can go fly. It just is.
But you did it for me for a lot of years.
bad.
It's my turn.
Yeah, I know, but and that's it's built on my uncomfortable feeling of doing that. And I borrowed, Chris was kind enough to let me use his motor.
Because ours was still in the trailer.
Yes, for 2 of the sessions. And that was extremely uncomfortable for me as well, to have someone else graciously offer me something that's important to them for me to utilize for something that's important to me is very, very uncomfortable. But choosing to say, yes, thank you, instead of, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Is a big deal for me.
It is, and it's an important thing. One thing that I think that really helps define who I am is the fact that I'm a reader and I love to learn. The book we just recently finished, we went down to Brad, who's one of our past students,
Yes.
to the ear, nose, and throat doctor to find out all the things that we had to get done. Basically, our noses don't work, which is great news. But on the way home from our 3-hour drive each way, we were listening to Brene Brown's book, Dare to Lead. And in the last chapter of that book, she talks about, maybe second to last chapter, she talks about the fact that the people you can't trust are people who don't ask for help. And the people you trust the most are those that ask for help the most readily. And I think it's really an incredible concept to recognize that those people who recognize their needs, recognize the fact that where they fail, where they have challenges, or they have issues, and are willing to request assistance, those are the people that we trust. Those are the people that we look at and go, okay, you don't know it all. And so it's something that we actually, we're addressing in the meeting tomorrow. We're changing how we do our business. It's my phone. My phone's going bananas. And it's your phone too. Yeah. So it's something really, really cool for us. Like looking at things and saying, okay, I need help. I need assistance. I need to grow in this area. Help me grow.
Yeah.
It's something that I feel like I'm pretty decent at. Although when I was in the midst of trying to hire an assistant and I had Dan's girlfriend, wonderful lady Brittany, she was like, I'll come help. And I was like, she's like, what can I do? And I was like, I don't know. I have too much to do to even think about what I can give up. All right. A few more questions. Guys, this is going really well. You guys are asking good questions. Vertical asks, how many flights do you have now?
Around 50.
Around 50. Dang, girl. Living life large. Woohoo. Let's see. Michael Abbott, hey lovers, help adjusting brake length. Flare on my A-wing feels crappy. Michael, A-wings do not flare great. The new Mojo Power 2 has a pretty impressive flare, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of impressive things about that new wing. Their current Mojo is also pretty decent. Adjusting your brake length is a very tricky thing to do, and I'm going to ask for someone in the chat, because there's no one behind the camera today, to please take a moment. And I'm sorry, I'm looking to make sure the camera's still on. I thought I saw a shift. Please take a moment and go to our YouTube channel. Just right-click Aviator Show just below this. right as you hit that like button. And just search 2D in our videos. Please find that real quick, and you can link it in the chat for our 2D video, which talks about brake length, etc. And that will set you all up. Craig says you just have to fly to and from X07, so there isn't any extra contact. Yeah, actually, I almost brought my paramotor gear home today so I could fly to work if they outlawed driving. I thought about it. Again, I've read all the novels, so I know what might happen, right? You know. Bob Garber asks, kiting only at this point, but I have been kind of tempted with kiting winds. What do you think about 4GS14? All depends on the size of the glider you're flying. Generally, I look for less than a 6 mile an hour gap, 6 to 7 miles an hour maximum. That's a huge gap. 4GS14 means the difference between doing a forward and getting picked up and pulled backwards.
Which is not fun.
Will you read Bob's question for me, please? Second from the bottom.
Will you build a canard? Maybe a cozy
Mark IV.
Mark IV.
All right, so huge thank you to Dave at Paramotor Crazy. Check out Paramotor Nation every Sunday. Great show. I generally try to be involved. I will tell you, Dave, just message me the code, and since we're in all this this nonsense of being locked in, is that good? That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Since we're in this nonsense of being locked down, I'll be there Sunday. So just expect me not to be a guest. I'm going to be a co-host. I got you, girl. Bob Literact asked about building a canard. We actually, a Velocity XL is on the short list for our family. Most likely RV10 over Velocity, just because it's better at short fields. It's slower, but it's better at short fields, and we need 5 seats. So both of those aircraft, you can install a 5th seat belt. Cessna 210, 182. There's a lot of options we've looked at. Are we off? We're on.
You're good. I was just wondering if there was a percentage.
There's no way to tell what the percentage is now. Caleb says if they outlaw driving, we can use the roads to launch from. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of airplanes that I would love. I think that the Canards are incredible. I almost bought a very easy and a long easy many times in my life. You got chocolate, girl?
You talked about my sweet tooth like an hour ago, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. So here we are.
So yeah, I'd love to have a Canard, but this not having soft field capability it's almost a deal breaker for me right now. Again, it's one of those things that might be like another pair of shoes. So. Yeah. Good night, Greg. Torque Talk. Great to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for welcoming or being welcomed into the farewell home. Glad to have you. Yeah, let's see. So there's other questions here. Nevada, have you ever thrown a reserve? I have not. I wish I had twice. I should have twice. Once I had an injury. The other time I got lucky. I didn't have a reserve on board. So mistakes were made. Now I don't fly without a reserve. We're getting her a reserve. She just got her paramotor ordered yesterday.
Did I? I'm so excited.
Yes. So I need you to look and see if you want custom colors in your wing.
Okay.
But you have to wait. We have to wait to buy you your own dedicated wing until the smaller one comes out.
Okay.
All right. There we go.
I'm a hard sell.
It's a hard sell. Craig asks, how much have you sell the 47-120? Craig, I don't know. So the deal with the 120, it's a very special 120. It has every single logbook with the exception of 1.5 year stint since 1947, which is why I bought it.
It's insane.
It has every piece of like everything. So I really, really, really love the fact that it has everything. We put an transponder, ADS-B, strobe, a whole bunch of stuff has gone into the airplane already, and it's about to get painted. I paid $9,000 for it. I share this because you have to understand, like, airplanes are cheap. I mean, the 120 cost me less than my parameters cost me. Since owning it, I have almost $20,000 into it in a year and a half. And then we're about to do paint and everything else. So I'd probably sell it for around what I have in it, between 25 and 35, depending on how much the paint job costs. But yeah, so if you're interested, Craig, buy an RV. It's better. Oh, it just shut off. It just shut off. Oh no. Hang on. How do I do this? Let's go to, it's going on break just so I can switch. Nell, you can answer some questions. We got some good questions here. Bob Garber says velocity to soft fields. It can, but not short soft fields. So short soft fields don't work. Look at all the people commenting. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Michael,
Okay,
Jim,
but
Shondor,
just to
009.
confirm, audio is still working.
Yes.
You see that the video's gone, but audio is still working. Eric is working on the
I'm on it.
camera battery. So I see a lot of Eric asking me to answer questions, and now all I see is that the camera's off. So I need some questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and eat Reese's Cups, which honestly I'm totally fine with. But great, audio is good. Fan-freaking-tastic. And Eric's working working on the battery. We are so happy to have you guys here with us in our home. And we thank you for being here in all these crazy days. Michael wants to know my favorite candy. I'm assuming it's my favorite candy because Eric doesn't like candy. Currently eating Reese's, definitely up there. I also like peanut butter M&Ms. Recently have learned about myself that I like pretty much nut product with chocolate. I'm in like Flynn. I never have flown trike. I'm not.
Trike?
I have been a passenger in a trike tandem. But never flown on my own. I'm not sure that I have interest at this point.
I think you'd be great at it. Like you're very patient, which helps.
I feel like I want to be better at foot launch before I move on. Potentially.
She's really good already.
Yeah.
Michael Whistler says, "You want to know a funny, embarrassing story? I found out last year Skittles are not off-brand M&Ms, and that Skittles are not chocolate." Are you serious, Michael?
Oh.
I love you. So, for those of you guys who don't know Mike, Mike Whistler was a rabid fan of the original Aviator show YouTube videos with all of the video game and skydiving and airplane content like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So Michael has been around forever. How old were you back then, Michael? I have questions. He says, my sister lied to me for years.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Oh, good Lord. I love it.
I feel like there were other good questions. I'm scrolling up briefly.
Jim asked a great question about a patient but eager student in para-waiting
asked
get
a
a
few
course
times.
curriculum. I know this is the third time I've seen it. Course curriculum outline so I know what I'm going to be taught. Jim, reach out to AJ. It's not something we normally share until a few weeks before your training, but you will be receiving a lot of content, and we're in the midst of revitalizing that. In fact, we actually, we're working on changing our course curriculum to be roughly 12 to 16 times what it currently is, so that before you ever show up, you have access to a lot more content. So these things are coming. All right, let's see. We've got a lot of good people in here, but we are going to call it a night soon, guys. It's been an hour and a half, which I greatly appreciate.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on here, baby.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, I didn't really have a choice. I'm in the house.
I can hide.
You could hide. She sometimes hides.
Sometimes I hide.
It's true. All right. So, guys, thank you all so much for joining us on the show. It's been a great show. We're going to have to do something. I feel like we should do a quarantine t-shirt. I don't know. I feel like these things should happen.
There's an idea.
So, everyone's asking for piano. Do you see it?
Do I see the piano?
They're all asking for piano.
Hmm.
Do you think you could do piano? Look at it. Look at it.
Do that.
Do you guys want to watch some piano? All right, what do you want to play?
Do we have to do video also?
Well, it'll be fuzzy. It'll be blurry. I won't change the video. I'm just gonna move the microphone over there.
Mm-hmm.
I will not move the. You're hidden behind the banners. You're golden. What are you gonna play?
I have performance anxiety.
She is a concert pianist and
That is
organist.
not true.
Have you played at a concert?
Only organ.
Only organ. What are you gonna play?
I'll take us out with a little Debussy.
Love you, Debussy. Oh, I love Debussy. Okay, so here we go.
Hopefully, it's not like copyrighted or anything. Still.
If it is, that's all right. All right, so I'm moving the microphone, guys, as close as I can get it. Chances are this is going to be really annoyingly loud. Let's move this. Ugh. That's all we got. That's all we got. So I'm gonna have to put this down here. She's finding her music, guys. I didn't warn her about this, so she might murder me tonight. If she does, just know if I show up in the news, it was not coronavirus. It was Nell. She's a ginger. She did this to me.
With the piano in the dining room.
Yes, Nell with the piano in the dining room. It sounds about right.
You're adorably annoying.
All right. Let's see.
Do you have any last words?
I have no last words. Play the piano. Love you guys. Good night.